All right, all right, all right. Welcome to this episode of Warrior Week Parables from the Pit. My guest this week is Brian Hallway, my friend, my very good friend, Brian Hallway, Warrior X graduate, X2. Yeah, buddy. Warrior X2, then Warrior Week
38.
38, and then you came into our certified trainer program, and ever since that, you've been with us. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
All the way from Odyssey.
Odyssey, Texas. That's right.
Yeah, man. All right, brother. So we're gonna get to Brian's story. Very interesting story. Very inspiring story as well. And we're gonna start first by Brian. Just giving us like, what was the first time you came across Warrior, and what kind of pulled you towards picking that phone call, or, making that phone call, picking the phone, sending that text, just initiating a conversation?
Well, I came across the infamous Garrett video in Vegas, and everything he said rung true with me. I'd gotten to a place where I just wasn't functioning very well. I was starting to have some not very good thoughts, and didn't really know what direction I wanted to kind of go in as a person. And when you get to that point, I was just struggling. I was always searching for something. I just didn't know what that was. And I'd gotten to that point. I saw the video. So, of course, I took the next step. And, of course, you gave me a call. And, I'll never forget that phone call, because it wasn't immediate, but it was a step and another step where about 6 months, well, it wasn't that long, 3 months later, I guess, when Warrior X came up, was able to go. That first conversation we had, though, you laid a lot of good information on me. I appreciated the fact that you weren't judgmental. I mean, you were empathetic, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And then you gave me some steps that I could take immediately, even though I wasn't going to end up coming to Warrior Week right then. You gave me some steps that I could implement immediately to try to help myself in the situation I was in, which I really appreciated that. So when Warrior X did finally come up, I mean, it was a non-negotiable thing for me. I mean, I was going to, sell the last piece of clothes I had to be able to make that. I was just to the point I had to do it.
Yeah, I remember our interview. It was kind of twofold. Where we spoke on the phone a few years back, and we had we had an hour call, I think, or so, and I knew that. I think we ended up the call for you making the decision whether you would come or not, and you kind of fucking vanished. You just like. You just dispersed and disappeared, but we did had a very good conversation about where you were at, and the problems that you were facing then, which I specifically remember was, inside of just some struggles with addiction that you had, and just like all of us, like not different from anybody else, and some people is drugs, some people is alcohol, other people is food, and other people is Netflix and working out. It's just like you had your own struggles inside of those, and gambling and some other stuff, and
Yep.
and so in that perspective, we had a good conversation. It was like, hey man, here's the steps that you need to do, and like, just let me know. And then a couple of months went back, and you came back on the interview to come to Warrior X, which was this 48-hour crazy fucking program that we put together. And man, for those of you who graduated Warrior, like, we had about 120 guys that graduated from our Warrior X program. It was the most intense fucking physical version of Warrior ever put together. Nonstop, 48 hours with a few hours of sleep in between, and like, okay, bro, see you later. It was from like time was folded in half from the minute you came, and never stopped, never had a chance to even stop. You were either talking or walking, or you were working out, or you were doing something. But inside of that, our second interview was a recall on, hey man, you and I spoke, and I immediately recall who you were in that conversation, and we put it together, and it was very obvious that that Warrior X was the next step for you, and you made it happen, right?
Yeah.
You go through all the logistical, and because at that time you had a big responsibility as an executive of a company, as you couldn't just say, "Hey, bro, I'm leaving next week." Was a lot of delegation that needed to happen for that to happen. So you come into Warrior X. Talk to me about your experience at Warrior X and what kind of shifted in things for you.
Ass whooping is the one thing, but spiritually it was much more than that. But I mean, it was an ass whooping, both spiritually and mentally, physically. It was the toughest thing that I've been through, and I come from a place where, um, the not to go too far back in my life, but the high school I went to invented off-season football. So very tough, very rigorous. I mean, you got done as an 8, 17, 16, 18-year-old, and you would have to sit there for an hour and recover. That's how hard it was. So I've been through some very physical things in my life, but nothing like that. And I think the combination of everything really brought out what I needed at the time to really refocus and shift me to another place. But I would say that from the minute we showed up, it's like you're saying. I mean, that was an experience. That was nonstop, and it just, we started out, and where we went to, it was just like you checked in and you were ready to go, and that was it. And we knew we were in for a ride from the first 5 minutes we were there with with Sam. So it was pretty wild, and we got going. But the mental part of it started right away as well. Um, just being there with your brothers and seeing and experiencing what everybody else is going through as well. It just really focuses you on the things that are important, right? And so that first, I don't know, the first 12 hours, it let me know what we were in for the rest of the time. So, the first night we were there, we thought we were going to get some sleep, and then, here comes the coaches getting us out of bed and just falling asleep. And, it was rough, but it kept you thinking and kept you going. And that was the whole point of what we were doing. So, I enjoyed, now it's easy for me to say, I enjoyed the physical part. Only because it's helped me in every step that I've taken along the way since. Because at that point, hell, I was 50 pounds overweight. At that, I mean, I was pushing 240 pounds when I came, and it helped me understand how far out I was. Because sometimes when you're in your day to day and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you never really realize how bad you really are. And I've got a friend that every once in a while I'll slip a little bit, and he'll send me this picture of me, and it's a picture of me at that weight. And I mean, it is not a good picture. I'll have to show you, but it really focuses things and keeps things going and lets you know where you're at. So
I got it. So let's talk about Warrior X, and let's talk about that post experience. You walked into the challenge, and what was that experience for you? The 90-day challenge.
So the 90-day challenge.
Yeah, go ahead.
The 90-day challenge was a good one as well, because it exposed me to the coaching side of things, and fessed up and fired up, and us all working individually, but also you got to see what everybody else was doing. So again, it became, you go through Warrior X, and you're getting little bits and pieces, and you're kind of developing yourself and where you want to go. And then that's where the coaching comes in afterwards and really focuses you to make sure that we're headed the right way, doing the right things, and staying focused. I mean, that's really the main thing I got out of the coaching is staying focused. Once we developed a plan, and once I got my outcome set, was staying on them. And it's good to have, that person that I don't know, pushing's probably not the right word, but I guess the accountability is what I really enjoyed about it, because that's obviously been an issue that I've had, is the accountability, and having other folks that kind of kept me accountable. So
got it. And after that, there was a special program where a couple of guys came in. It was called "Do the Shit You Said You're Going to Do."
Yeah.
Literally, that was the name of the program. You were one of the guys that opted in. Look, after Warrior X, you were all in, and
All in.
fucking all in, and
Yep.
like never looked back. You hesitated on your first interview. After that, you never fucking looked back.
Nope.
So "Do the Shit You Said You're Going to Do" came up as a program, a one-on-one program mentoring with me. Talk to me about that. Hey, can you pass me that phone? Talk to me about that experience, please.
Well, the do the shit you said you were gonna do. It's just what it was. It was no bullshit. You let us know right up front. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, this isn't you being buddies with me. This is you continuing your work, and that's what I got from it. And when I showed up and I was unprepared, one particular time I actually was in the truck and we had scheduled times we were doing these calls and was driving and thought I could make it. We hit some traffic. We didn't make it. My wife was with me. It was pretty embarrassing that I wasn't ready for the call and had to jump out of the truck and do push-ups and everything in front of with my wife being there. And I think she liked it because she saw that, there's a path, right? And there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And when you say you're going to do things, you do them. And I think she respected that a lot when I had to do that. So, but yeah, it was kind of a bad deal. And of course, I was my relationship with Sam as it's grown. I mean, then was a very scared, right?
Yeah.
Scared of Coach Sam and everything. So I actually during that little incident, I didn't snap at my wife, but I might have. I think I said we were trying to park or something, and I kind of and I think you picked up on that and you corrected my ass real quick, and I deserve that. So, but those are the things I've learned, right? Is that when you get nervous and you get in a situation, you don't have to react to it, and I've gotten really good about that through our process here at Warrior and some of the things I've been taught.
So many things happen during the do the shit you said do the shit you said you're going to do program. Amazing name for a program.
Yes.
I know specifically 3 things happened that completely changed the course of the most important relationship that you hold. One was with your wife. The whole like re-engaging. I remember the whole fucking ceremony. Then the experience with your son and the hiking.
Yep.
And then the third one was your daughter getting her a car and all that experience. Talk to us through all those 3 experiences and the shift that took in place in you. Reason why I want to ask you this is just this is what a lot of guys out there listening to the podcast are kind of looking for, man. Like, what is that one thing that actually shifts the man? Because hey, there's no doubt that you love your fucking family, you die for your family, like any other man out there. But often our patterns and behaviors don't really follow what we truly want and feel. What we want is love. What we want is trust for our family, and that's what we want in our relationship. And then we find ourselves in a place where there's a gap between what we want and how we show up, and it creates a kind of fucking frustration really aimed at ourselves. It's like, fuck. And it often leads to, anger or silence. And this place where like you feel there's so much more, but yet the best way to describe it is like, I don't know what to do, which is not true. You get frozen. So talk to me about how you kind of like, you were in that place, and how were you able to like kind of break through those ways that kept you captive inside of growth of your relationship that matters the most to you? All 3 of them.
Yeah. So with my wife, I travel a lot for work. So the connection time has to be there when I get home.
Yeah.
And, I'd gotten into this routine where I would travel, I would get home. She wanted to talk. I was tired, the old Saturday, Friday night blues, getting your shoes kind of thing. So I'd get home and I wouldn't want to talk and wouldn't want to share with her. So I had to make a real conscious effort in the shift on that. And the way I did that was every time when I would come home, I would make sure that 30 minutes I spent kind of just divulging everything, right? Because I'd keep all that in and I'd say, oh, it went fine. That would be my answer.
Yeah.
And, we'd shift, we'd turn on the TV, start doing something else. But I wasn't engaged and I wasn't paying attention like I was supposed. And it was the same way with my kids too. And going back to my son, I just didn't. I was there, but I wasn't there. Is kind of the way I explain it. And so I decided as a connection with him that I would take him. There's some mountains close to where we're at, actually 2.5 hours away, Fort Davis Mountains. I took him to the mountains. I started out the day, got out of pan, and he was tripping out because I got out of pan. I cooked us, eggs and bacon right there, and fed him and everything. And the whole time, I again, a conscious effort. It was intentional, and it was all about him. I never said anything about me or what I was doing or anything else. I kept saying, what about you? And just asking questions as we went along. So we went on this hike. It was 2 miles down and then 2 miles back up. So on the way down, we got, talked about anything you can think of, basically. But he had this ongoing relationship. And at the time, we didn't realize his girlfriend was pregnant. And the whole time, I mean, looking back on it now, he so wanted to tell me, and he was right there a couple times. I mean, I just go back to our conversations. He was so close to telling me that, and he just couldn't quite get it out to me. But so we walked down. On the way back up, we actually got lost, and we took a different trail. And so we were hacking through thorn bushes and all kinds of stuff. It was fun. Got up on rocks. We had to climb. We had to do all these things to get back, which made it even better, right? By the time we got done, one of the things that he told me when we were finished, he said, and at that point I'd known him 5 years, and he said, I know you better now than I've known you the whole time that in the whole 5 years I've known you on this 2.5 hour hike that we were on. So it was a special moment for us. The bonding we did there, I know that he'll do this with his son. We talk about it quite often. He still tears up. I still tear up. It was a great moment for us and a way for us to bond and grow together. And I think that, we continue to develop our relationship together. So a huge part of my story and where I was at, even coming to Warrior X and everything else, and something that just wrecked my life was the ending of my first marriage. There was no closure for either one of us, I believe. And it was this toxic thing where through that, my daughter, basically I'd pick her up. She had a frown on her face. She wouldn't talk to me. She would spend time with me, but she wouldn't interact with me. She was always pissy is the best way to put it. She was always pissed. And, this went on for years. And that whole situation, my wife, Amanda now, she tells me, and she told me this before we were married, that she said, you are still stuck where you were before. She said, I don't think you really realize it, but that messed you up. I mean, you're just not quite right like you probably think you are. And so that was kind of an eye-opening moment when she told me that, because I never looked at it that way. But it put guilt and shame and all these other things, and I never did. I put it in a little box, and I never dealt with it. So anytime anything would happen, that would come up. But it basically, the ending of that marriage ruined my relationship with my daughter. But one thing I figured out at Warrior X, too, is I quit on her. And I was there. Yes, I picked her up every other weekend. I'd pick her up from school sometimes, those kind of things. I don't mean that I was an absentee father, but when she was upset, I would get pissed instead of listening and trying to, hey, what's going on? And, I would just instantly, it triggered the fuck out of me. Right. And so I would get mad and all those things. And I knew it was because, she was being told things, which doesn't matter. I mean, I admit to everything that I did in my marriage and all those things, but it got to her and it just ended badly. But so that was a relationship I really had to work on. And what I figured out was I was quitting, and I was quitting on her by not continuing that and just letting it go and being pissed and all these things. So I started hitting her every day with text. I'd send her letters. I just kept on it. And most times I wouldn't get a response, but I just kept doing it, and that's one of the things you told me, don't quit, just keep doing it. And so I would do it every day. And finally, every once in a while she would respond and she'd say something back, like, love you, Dad, or something. So I knew there was something there, but then, next time I'd see her, we'd have a big blow up and, we kind of go backwards. And we did this for several years. And I just kept on though. I kept on doing it, and it got better. Now we're at a point that she's grown. She's actually a sophomore in college now. The relationship is awesome. The the little snarkness and the smarty and all that stuff is gone. And now when I see her, it's a smile, it's a hug, all those things. So, but the work I did then created the environment we have now. Because without that, we'd still be stuck where we were before. Because I just would get so upset with her.
Yeah.
Over the way she would act toward, and it was disrespectful. But at the same time, I don't understand what she was going through because I didn't ask the right questions and I didn't try to figure that out. And I should have done that earlier than what I did. But I'm so thankful for you and for Warrior and for putting me in a place that I could feel okay to ask those questions. And I think a lot of it boils down to the guilt and shame and getting rid of it and being able to just get through. And that's what I went through. About a 10-year period where I quit everything. When the stuff happened in my first marriage, I was just done. I didn't try to fix it, didn't try to repair things, didn't try to do anything. When my stuff started going wrong with my daughter, jobs I'd had before, they pissed me off. I'd be like, I'm out of here. I'm not gonna put up with this crap. And it was just I just went through that, and I've never been a quitter, but I just went through that where I was just quitting on everything. So that was one of the things that I've learned in Warrior. And I've done a lot of things personally, professionally, physically since that, and I'm not quitting anymore. And that's a pretty powerful thing for me to learn. And it's a good thing because when you get used to quitting, you need to find help and you need to do something about it because bad things are going to come if you keep quitting on things.
Oh, that's your superpower now. Like that's your superpower that is earned, wasn't given to you. You've gone to multitude of events ever since that. Obviously, Warrior X was a beating of its kind, but then it wasn't about beating; it was experience and growing. You chose to lead in a leadership position with your organization as a vice president and leading. Like at that time, I remember it was like 200 guys that you were overseeing, and today it's grown to 1,000. That's 5 times the amount of what it was, and 5 times the leadership of thousands of fucking people, man. That under, same culture and guidance that is toward, becoming better. You chose that, and that was part of like certified training program. That's why you chose to be part of that. You chose to train yourself. You choose to come back to Warrior Week and find the fuel at Warrior Week. And we're going to talk about Warrior Week in a second. But once you found the fuel, you continued on that path, and you've done multiple experiences with me. We've done the crazy, the SEALs Academy, SOF experience that we did with us and 10 other guys. One of a kind experience. We were talking about that, the night missions, and as well as swimming against the fucking ocean current with a boat in the middle of the fucking, rainy fucking day, and just experiences that are unrepeatable. And even if you look at the marketplace right now, there's so many programs out there trying to replicate a lot of that stuff, but none of them is the original stuff that's taking place. Like some of those programs are not. Like the stuff that was permitted then is definitely not permitted now, and we've done some other shit that I was truly serving all of us, and it was great to be part of that as a unit. And then you've gone on to swimming the English Channel and that challenge, and then so many other ones. You've done the hiking one. Are you going to?
Yeah, we did the Bataan Death March last year, where we went through in 99.4 miles. Over 2.5 days. So, which I was thankful for, because the guy that we do that with is pretty crazy, and he was planning on doing it straight through. But the Filipino government had other ideas.
Okay.
So they said, no, you won't. You're going to stop each night. We only got like 2 or 3 hours rest.
Yeah.
But still.
That makes a difference.
Makes a difference. So, but we retraced the steps of that Bataan Death March, and It was just such an awesome experience
Mm.
to go over there to see the people, and they love Americans.
Yeah.
I mean, love Americans, and they love the interaction between U.S. and the Philippines and the history. They honor that. So it's such a great experience, and we raised money for the National Ability Center,
Mm.
which is a great charity in itself. So it was fantastic, man. But
Yeah.
that's something that. So that want to go back to Warrior X. There
Yeah.
was this. Is it okay to talk?
Yeah,
about
of
this?
course,
Okay. So there was this part called the Warrior Mile, and I'm sure if we went right now, it wouldn't be that big a deal. But,
Oh, the Warrior Mile is always a big deal, bro.
oh, it was a.
It doesn't
was
matter if you do 99.9
Shit.
fucking miles.
It was
The Warrior Mile is always a fucking big deal for any fucking
was-
athlete or non-athlete.
Oh man, it was horrible. So I remember Russ Perry was there on that hill with me, and he's like, "Serpentine, man, serpentine." So I started serpentining, and fuck, I finally made it up this mountain. But so the first 6 miles on the Baton Death March is you go from 0 elevation to 900 foot,
Mm.
and it was the same way.
Steepness, okay.
And man, I got to tell you that before Warrior, I would have quit.
The first 6 miles?
Yeah, 6 miles.
6 miles of Warrior Mile?
It was 6 miles of Warrior Mile.
Fuck, man.
It was rough, and I got to tell you, before Warrior, I would have quit.
Yeah.
You know, quitting never even crossed my mind.
Mm.
And so I just embraced it, you know, and I just powered through. So, you know, it was a strong thing. Now after that, it leveled out and it was flat, hotter than hell, but it was flat and it was all good. But that first 6 miles was rough. But it brought me back to the Warrior Mile. Got me thinking about you and about all the brothers and everything that we've done. But that was part of the why, right?
Yeah.
And that was part of what got me through. But different perspective.
Yeah.
Things are about perspectives, and I think changing my perspective made it.
Talk to me about the strength that you got in your leadership today at work and business and leading other men with your superpower, which is just, you know, what's Brian's power is like, fuck, man, don't ever fucking quit. That's my superpower. So talk to me about how's that playing today in the growth of the company and the organization and the people, man, you're leading.
So it's funny we talk about this because Warrior was a bad word with my company.
Mm.
So after I went, of course, you know, the first thing they did was Google the video. And of course, you know, here comes Garrett in the Vegas video. And they were like, you cannot talk about this here. You cannot bring this into our company. Newsflash, everything we do is based on the things I learned from Warrior. And we crush it, and everybody loves it, and no one says any different. I just put a different name on it.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
It's the same concepts.
Yeah.
It's the same things we learned here.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's great about it. But you know, the superpower is really, you know, one, we don't quit.
Mm-hmm.
2 is we're always learning.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
which is definitely something we learned here, that investing in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, very big on that, and that's the one thing I tell all of our people is like, man, you have to invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're gonna do things and we're gonna invest in you, but you have to invest in yourself
Yes.
as well to get better.
You know,
So,
that's a very good point. I wanna just interject. This is very relevant what you're talking about. Not too long ago, I had an interview with a guy from Canada, and he comes on a call. He's 58, and he works for this big food company, and like he talks to me about how successful he's been in sales, and you know how good he's doing. He's making about $250,000 a year, and you know he's responsible for $6 million of revenue yearly for the company, and he's been doing that for the past 12 years. So, you know, significant character inside of the organization that contributes and also takes home significantly. And he shared with me that there's a lot of like leadership and sales program that you know, they send them on with other colleagues, and you know, none of them are what they want, and people end up just like either like, you know, kind of like benefiting from those, just like eating out and just hanging out and just going through it half-ass, and like for years he's been like, he's not taking much away from it. So he comes across the content from Warrior, and he's been subscribing to the content for 4 years, like almost a year, listening to the podcast, to the books, And then he tells me that like, "Look, I think this stuff is different, right? So he's knocking at the door for this new program called the King's Journey, which is a $7,000 investment for an entire year. Comes in with the content, the books, it comes with the online courses. It comes with a series of 10 challenges, automated challenges, and as well as the weekly calls with myself and Garrett. You've been on some of those weekly calls. It's 90 minutes, and like it's 90 minutes of fucking pure fire, right? This entire fucking program for 7K or 3 payments of 2,450. That's the current King's Journey offering, and it also comes with a live event that we pitch in there called Be the Man event. Guys come in, and then they end up at this other event, which is called the King's Council, all the way a year from now. So we go through all this conversation, and at the beginning, I kind of like tell him exactly what I just told you now, which is, hey, here's the price, and here's what this program looks like, and if you're ready, we can begin the interview, and if at the end of the call is something that where I feel that you could be part of this, because this is surely a recruitment opportunity for us, not really, we're not selling this to Tom, Dick, and Harry. It's just selling to a guy that actually makes, sense out of the conversation for him. At that point, you're purchasing it. We're not really selling this to you. You're kind of purchasing it because it's your own idea. And if it's your own idea not to purchase it, then you don't. But it has to be clear that what you're walking into. So he tells me that, he shares with me that, yeah, man, part of the reason why I'm listening to this and all that is like, cause I'm fed up of this. I want to start my own thing, and I want to do my own thing, and I think this is gonna really help me get in there to become independent and finally start my own thing and just not do it for my company. And then he tells me this. And then he tells me, and then when I told him about the pricing, he goes, yeah, there's no problem. I just want to kind of like run it by my company. And, I think they'll be okay. They've paid for programs like this in the past, and I want them, I want them to pay for it. I said, oh, well, hold on a second, man. You're on this call to invest in yourself, to grow and become stronger and more confident and more certain using the Warriors methodology, so you can leave your company or so you can get out of what you're currently doing. But help me understand this. But you want them to pay for that? You want them to pay for you to leave them? And do you truly fucking think that we're going to take that kind of money here? Do you think that, like, you probably don't fucking understand. This is a recruitment call, right? It's a test to see if you're willing to invest in yourself. And obviously, motherfucker, you failed the fucking test just by asking. You're completely out of fucking integrity. You're asking for something that doesn't make any fucking sense and that we will never entertain. So what I think you should go back is that really recognize that if you do want the things that you said you want here, then are you willing to invest in yourself? Financially, I don't see any fucking problem. But I see a fucking liar inside of you that doesn't even want what he says he wants, because if you truly want it, you would invest in it. And you wouldn't have somebody else pay for your growth. Like, no. So you're a no. Good luck.
Yep.
When you come back and you're clear, listen to more podcasts, and when you come back and you're clear you want to invest yourself, you're more than welcome to reach out. And then it obviously didn't sit well for him, so he decides to send a fucking email, like a one-page email, saying that I don't know who I talked to. I like Garrett. I listened to this podcast, but I talked to this guy Sam, and he should he should know that I have all the money and I would have bought the program, and that part number 1 in sales is listening, and if you would have listened, he would have, like, all kind of shit, right? So it was like, listen, man, my reply was simple. Stop fucking lying to yourself. Like, stop being a fucking liar. Stop fucking lying, bro.
Yep.
Just stop fucking lying. You're a fucking liar. You are a fucking liar. And if you happen to listen to this podcast, for some reason, I know you like Garrett's podcast, but if you happen to listen to this podcast, well, fuck you, motherfucker, for being a fucking liar. Fuck you. Fuck you until the day you recognize that you're telling a fucking lie. Because you're not doing yourself a favor. You're fucking 58. The only person that's really profiting from your fucking lies right now is your fucking ego. You want a multi-billion-dollar fucking company to pay for your personal growth. Hell no. Literally, you're a fucking hypocrite, because all these years that the company has invested in you, you never took those investments seriously. And by the way, the company was investing in you as an asset for the company, not in you personally. So know that the company didn't do that for you, but did it for an asset of the company. So as long as you don't consider yourself an asset of a company, then you should probably not belong in that fucking company. Which means, by the way, the $6 million revenue responsibility, it's a lie. Which means your quarterly takeaway of $250,000, it's a lie. The guy that takes a $250,000 home a year doesn't behave this way when it comes around purchases, when it comes around investment. How do we know? Because we interviewed more than thousands of guys.
Yep.
And we know where these patterns are. You're probably making $65,000 a year and you're lying and you want to make more, but therefore you're lying once again to yourself. And so, yeah, of course you would write a fucking big email. Because a guy that makes $250,000 a year doesn't bother with writing that fucking email. He just puts the credit card down and he goes and buys a program that serves him. And if you say, according to your fucking email, that this program serves you, but you're not purchasing it because you were hurt, because you were not hurt, well, fuck you. Because this place is never going to take any money that's out of integrity. We never did. You're a witness. We walked away from thousands of dollars, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars saying no to people that didn't want this for them.
Yep.
And this program was, if I wanted the results that you want more than I want, like more than you wanted, this wouldn't fucking work.
No.
And you made, this is an interesting conversation because the first time you didn't step in and you disappeared, it wasn't that you didn't want it. It wasn't that. It's just like you had a story that told you you're not worth it.
That's right.
You're not worth the investment. You could have figured out the money. You could have figured definitely out the money. But like the story was so strong that you're not worth it. And then, and then when the opportunity came in and you fucking break through that story, you literally told us, fuck you, everything changed for you. You never looked back. You learn on your own that is the most important asset in your life to invest into is you. Yep. You did that on your own. And that's why in your leadership right now or 20, 40 years from now, is speaking from that, no one will ever take that language away.
No,
and that certainty.
They see it and they all say that, that, wow, man, something, is changing you over the last 3 years. And it's awesome. We see the growth, and it's, of course, pole vaulted me within our company as well. But, what they don't know is, and I will always laugh because I want to say, well, it's Warrior.
Yeah.
100%. That's what's helped me. I had to, like you said, I had to step in and invest in myself. But, I mean, Warrior has catapulted that, right?
The true pivoting point of your life is when you chose to invest in yourself. That changed everything. And that first investment was into an experience called Warrior X. But then it was a fraction of the investment that you made. You made over $100,000 of investment into Warrior, and Warrior X was literally like not even like 2% of it.
Yeah, but you got to take the first step.
5%, 5% or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, like literally nothing. And over $100,000 investment in you, not in Warrior. You didn't invest in Warrior. Warrior didn't need your fucking money.
Right.
You invested in you, and obviously there's a cost to participate, right? It's easy for everyone to say, I want to change. It's easy for everyone to say, I want to have a different conversation with my daughter. It's easy for everyone to say, oh, I want a great relationship with my son. It's easy for everyone to say, oh, you know what? I want to be very close to my wife. But what's difficult is actually doing the fucking work and doing it every single day for a long period of fucking time where you actually see changes and transformation. And so talk is very cheap, but the minute talk is followed by money, everything changes because now you've paid for what you committed to. And there's two ways. Either abandon and never come back in this place because we won't take a second payment of your non-commitment shit, or keep committing and keep paying. Keep committing and keep paying. Because if you don't pay, then you end up paying the fucking piper. He's going to get his.
Yep, always does.
He's going to get his, right? So you're going to pay the price of being disconnected with your wife. You're going to pay the price of being disconnected with your kids. You're going to pay the price of feeling not enough. Like not that you're not worth it and you're not enough. Because you're going to watch everybody else rise and you're going to be, fuck, that could have been me.
Agreed.
Heck, 4 years back, sitting back, you would have never imagined that you have this kind of relationship that you forge with your kids and your wife, but also that you're leading thousands of other men and their wife and their kids. The systems you're teaching is not just about them. It's about the culture of the company and the culture at home.
You're right. And it's a powerful thing because most of our employees, if they have a blowout, on the way to work, it's a life decision.
Mm.
The concepts that we're teaching them and we're empowering them and we're helping grow them as people, they respect that and they understand that you can take steps to better yourself and those things. And by them, us understanding that's a life decision for them and us, it takes one family to make a difference, right?
Yep.
If we take one family, and we have many of these, and we have these, I could sit here all night and tell stories about the employees we have, but we've taken whole families and given them opportunities, and it has changed their family's trajectory forever. I mean, it has brought them up from where they were and moved out. And I think that's what this is all about. It's about giving back, just like you guys gave back to me.
Mm.
And then now we're able to pass that on, and we're able to pass that torch. And it's something that we 100% believe in with CIG is promotion from within, bringing people up. Like I said, the majority of our employees, they don't have any background in leadership, anything like that. But through this and me learning what I've learned, I'm able to pass that on, and we're developing leaders that are developing leaders, right? So it's I can't even say enough about what I learned and how we're now applying it.
Well, I mean, you've learned. There's one thing to learn, but you also found the courage to apply the knowledge. And you've taken the chance and the risks to go to war with what you needed to for the cause that you believed in. You truly know that it wasn't about a label. It wasn't about a network marketing. It wasn't about making Warrior popular. It wasn't about that. It was about there's a workforce here in our organization, and the families of these workforce are part of the workforce. It would be unrealistic in today's world to consider that the families of our workforce are not part of this entire organization.
Yep.
Because the children's and the wives are the backbone of the men that are coming every day inside of the workforce today, right? And the quality of the work produced by our workforce is directly related to the quality of the relationship they have at home. And if we can enhance both, then we have a winning match for us and for them and for everybody else. And that requires a tremendous amount of courage, because typical corporate growth doesn't become that way. Number one, it's too much of emotional and too much of stress to be put on a corporate and a business. At the end, it's a fucking business. Let's be real, you know?
Yep.
So typically, corporates won't go there. And typically, if corporates go there, they're actually at a very large scale. They're past medium, higher size business. They're at enterprise scale. And at enterprise scale, nobody knows anyone. It's like, oh, okay, you have fucking 2,500 HR agents. What the fuck? Like, it loses that concept of family, and it becomes like these, these programs that basically like feel disconnected and cold a little bit, although the purpose of it may be, to bring them together. But at the end of it, doesn't have. So a medium-sized company, smaller-sized company is a perfect environment to cultivate that way of thinking. Absolutely. And that way of change. Talk to me about some of the stories that you've seen inside of the work that you've done. Some of the fruits.
Well, I would say it starts with the influence and the folks that we're able to influence. And I've got one in particular, one family, and the dad worked for us.
Mm-hmm.
And in getting to know him, he told me one time that he lived with him and his parents lived with his grandparents. Their grandparents lived with the other grandparents, and there was a systematic, just the whole family relying on one another and living with one another, and in his words, not mine, I mean, in poverty. And not only has he come in and excelled in our company, but both his sons now work for us.
Mm-hmm.
They all have their own places. They're not relying on each other anymore. And when I met them, there was 7 of them. The parents and them and their 3 kids, they all lived in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Wow.
And that's one of the stories that we have. We've got 12 GMs right now. 8 of them started out at our our entry level position within our company and are now leading their own terminals.
Wow.
And the change that we've seen in some of them. I mean, I've had guys call me up and say, you know, I bought a house today, and
Wow.
I want to thank you. And I'm like, hey, thank yourself because you did this. You know, we provided something here, but you're the one that did the work, that earned it, and now got to a place where you can afford to do that. We've got another guy that called me up, and his wife, he helped his wife start her own business. And, you know, he relates back to the things that we're teaching and doing and how that influenced them and her being able to do that. But
Yeah.
he said, we never would have been able to do this anywhere. Like, I've worked other places and, you know, coming here, it's just a different way. And the teaching and the way that we bring people up, they really appreciate. So, you know, those are some of the stories that we have where people are able to come in and we help bring them up. But I couldn't have done that without what I've learned here.
And again, learning was one thing, and just learning through experience, but also having had to make the hard decisions of investing in yourself, finding the courage to continue to invest in yourself. That's what you demand, right? That's the standard that you've experienced. That's the standard that you created for yourself, and you won't accept anything lower. Like anybody, you won't accept excuses. You won't accept quitting. And it's not that you take a baseball bat and beat people up, but you just tell them that, hey, I used to be that guy that used to accept that and never got what I wanted. Never got what I wanted. You know, I got pulled back from what I wanted. I got pulled back from my relationship. I got pulled back from my personal financial growth. I started like putting my money places that didn't make any fucking sense. Burn my money versus investing in my money. The only thing that changed me was finding the courage to make that first decision to truly think that I'm worth it and I'm investing in myself. Sometimes an investment in self is $10 in a fucking book that could change your life, right? That's the beginning. But, you know, it could be investing in a program that could physically challenge you, like you've done many. Why do you continue doing this? Why do you continue being part of Warrior? Why do you continue investing in yourself? Why do you continue getting up every morning and working on yourself, right? Going through the process of the stack and core 4. You don't have to do it. You don't have to. You do that because you are now an investor versus a spender. You know, most men are just spending thoughts, energy, effort, and time and fucking money into places where they feel that they're lacking. That, you know, their body may be out of shape, so they lack this thing, right? This better body of themselves. Their finances may be in shit, so they're in a place of lack of finance. Their relationship may be in shit, and so they keep fucking spending from a place of lack, and they drag the concept of lack to tomorrow. Tomorrow, there is your entire potential stored into tomorrow, right? If we take that concept.
Right.
And if you drag the lack of today into that, you're fucking everything up about tomorrow. Versus saying, I want to invest. I want to invest time. How much time can I invest in my body today? Versus think about what I'm going to eat all day, right? I'm going to invest in some whole food in my body. But I'm not going to spend time thinking about it anymore. Because I know why am I investing. I'm going to invest some money in this place, or I'm going to invest some time in this place. And when investment shows up, resistance. Every time we feel resistance is good because we're in the edge of investing and we choose to spend versus investing. And so, you know, this is something I wanted to call out here because so many men say they want change, but they don't find the courage to enable change. And it starts with that courage inside to make the decisions and to make some investment. And money plays a big fucking role in it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, gentlemen, let me repeat this. If you don't spend some money on yourself, then you're not really investing in yourself. You're going around convincing yourself that you're investing because you're reading books and this and that. Like, you need to start investing some money. Put some money behind what you want. Because other than that, I mean, I've done it for decades where I took the cheap way, right? The cheap way, the easy way, the free way. The cheap way, the easy, free way. None of that declares a commitment in the universe. The only thing that fucking like backs your commitment nowadays is this thing called money, because energetically it's a signature that you're putting in the universe that I am committed. And if you don't, well, there's a fucking price to pay. So many people want to lose weight. Okay, so you want to lose weight, motherfucker? What if you would lose your house if you don't lose the weight in the next 4 months? Now let's see you eat that fucking muffin or bagel. right?
Yep.
But there is no leverage. So therefore, we give ourselves permission to continue. And it's not just about losing weight. It's about like making a marriage better. It's about like, growing a business. It's about making sales this month.
Yep.
Like, you want sales? Okay, well, why are you sitting on your ass and doing something else other than like cold calling? These are simple conversations.
Yeah, the investment gives back. You know, you hear the 20x, the 10x, whatever. I mean, 100x, 1000x. I mean, it's really what it gives you. And the difference in the way I am with my family now and the way I was, it's a 1000x. You know, I mean, there's no comparison of the way things were to the way they are now. And the same thing in the business. You know, I talked about those guys being like, man, you've changed so much. And, you know, I've had numerous conversations with my CEO and just about everything. And, you know, and I just, you know, like I said, inside I chuckle, you know, because I'm not going to ever bring up Warrior again unless somebody brings it up to me because of the way they felt about it. Which, you know, that's their feelings, you know.
And that's okay.
We know it's bullshit, but, you know, a lot of people aren't ready for that message, right? You have to be in a certain place to accept that and want to embrace the pain that it's going to take for you to understand where you need to go.
100%.
I think you know this. I mean, most men aren't ready to accept that pain.
No, I mean, look, there's many ways to the way. Warrior's Way happens to be one way, and in order to be a recipient of the Warrior's Way, you've got to be in the right place to receive it, or else you would think that the truth is just too harsh to handle, that they should be filtered. We'll never change our standard, and we'll never be popular, and that's not what we're looking for.
Yep.
But we do look for results. We do look for transformation. We do look for change, and that is happening today. That is happening today, not because of the thousands men that are doing it, because one man decided to do it for himself. You didn't do it for them. You didn't do it for a company. You didn't invest in it to get a new position or become promoted or even own the entire fucking. You did it just to become a better dad and a better husband. And because it worked, you're just simply offering what you did to others. And now you have thousands of other people that are actually getting results from what you've done. And, I don't think you have any fucking intention of slowing down, no matter how you want to call it. Like,
Nope.
you're already very clear on what your purpose is, and you found a whole new level of growth inside of contribution, and then you're teaching exactly that. You're teaching contribution today.
Yeah.
You're teaching how to contribute back to your family, how to contribute back to the company, how to contribute back to yourself, and how to be part of a contribution tribe. That's what it is, or else it'll fall apart because then it'll get too selfish. Anyway, man, so if you're an executive hearing this, or if you're a part of a company and you would like to have the Warrior's Way system as part of your training, as part of your way of thinking, just like Brian did with thousands of his employees right now inside of a big corporation, reach out. Reach out to me. My email is sam@wakeupwarrior.com and say, hey, man, I'll listen to your podcast with Brian on corporate stuff. I'm part of a corporate. We got so many employees. I would love to put something together. Get on the phone. Let's figure out what can be done. We could do corporate trainings. We could do individual training. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you feel in your heart that something needs to be done, just go after it, because that's why Brian did. Brian felt inside of his heart that something needed to happen. He put himself under the bus first, and after that, he started rolling. And if you feel like you're one of those guys, then, hey, you're more than welcome. sam@wakeupwarrior.com. Say I was on the podcast with Brian, and I'm reaching out, and then we'll get on a conversation. And then if you actually are in a position inside of a big corporate, or you own a big company and you would like some of these training methodologies to take place in your corporation, same shit. Reach out. Reach out, and we'll put some kind of training for your organization, for your company, and we roll. Like, this is important for me, and I want to use this. I never fucking do this on a podcast, but I want to do this now because, I'm proud standing next to you as a leader, and I know there are hundreds of leaders just like you sitting on the podcast, and the only thing that is preventing them from reaching out is, am I worth it to be in a position that Brian is? And my answer is fuck yeah. And you'll get to hear from Brian what that is. But truly, don't fucking hesitate. Find the courage. Contact. Figure out the next steps. Next thing you know, a few years after, 200 employees are turned into 1,000. And they're following this methodology. And so many people try to put obstacles in your way, and they just vanish because you believe in the truth. So, Brian, if you're going to talk to a lot of our listeners that are executives or managers and working inside of organization or even business owners that would love to have this kind of culture and training inside of their organization, what would your advice be? Where to start and where to end?
Well, my advice to be was just what we talked about. Invest in yourself. By investing in yourself, you'll gain that confidence. If you feel like you're not worthy, those kind of things, you'll gain that confidence in yourself where you're able to project that to others and then teach them what you've learned. And that's the most important thing. And don't quit. We don't ever quit, right? And that's part of the warrior mentality. That's part of how we go about it, and that's how we'll finish. And you're going to have people, just like Sam said, they're going to try to get in your way. They're going to try to put up obstacles, all those things. The thing about obstacles is you can get around them, and you just don't quit. That's the number one thing I can say. I've had obstacles in my own company, come up against me with this. We talked about that and how, oh, we hate Warrior. We don't want to hear about it. We don't want you near it. We don't want to hear, you can't bring that in here. I brought every bit of it in, and they don't even know it, and they love it. That's the thing about it. You put a different perspective on it, and all of a sudden it's a great thing. So, but I would say, start today, invest in yourself, and then share that knowledge, and don't quit no matter what the obstacle.
Beautiful advices from Brian. And gentlemen, if you want to find out more about the King's journey in 2020 with us, visit becomeaking.com. Begin educating yourself on the 7 pit series. Understand what are the pitfalls, specifically 7 awaits a modern man, businessman, married man, a man that is in production, right? In production mode with kids and wife. How does the man fall into pitfalls? And as you study those, and the road maps are very clear, 3 road maps: the Warrior's Way, self-educating courses, the King's Journey, a very interactive program for an entire year with myself and Garrett, and as well as Empire Journey, which is what Brian is part of, is our quarterly meetings every quarter, in person, in proximity, myself and Garrett, and the rest of the team here at Wake Up Warrior. Gentlemen, find your path at becomeaking.com. Email me at sam@wakeupwarrior.com if you have a corporate training in mind, or if you want to take that first step towards investing in yourself and becoming that beacon inside of corporate, just like Brian did. Find the courage and email me. It starts with that. And as far as for this podcast, you'll find all the details on warriorweeknow.com, along with videos, audios, pictures, and any other additional content from this specific podcast. I want to thank everybody for being on this podcast. I want to thank my guest, Brian, for traveling all the way from Odyssey, Texas, down here. And once again, take care of yourself and others. Gentlemen, have yourself a fantastic week.